Namaskar, this is CVR English and it's time to roll another episode of the Power Talk with me, Anukriti Sharma. We are back to the Kolkata rape and murder case as the backdrop of our Power Talk tonight. It's like a recurring nightmare in India. A young woman was raped in a mega city. A massive outpouring of anger and a political blame game to boot. You've seen it before in Delhi. You're seeing it again in Kolkata. A 31-year-old doctor was raped and murdered last week, that too at her medical college. The police have arrested one suspect. Multiple questions remain, however, like why wasn't the security better? Why aren't medical colleges better funded? And why does our society keep failing its women? To demand these answers, thousands of women hit the streets 5 days ago. They protested well into the night. They are still protesting. Such gatherings were seen in most major cities of India, in New Delhi, Mumbai and Kolkata, in Bangalore and in Hyderabad. Take a look at this.
So that our enthusiasm, our participation, the intensity of the movement, dies down.
Now it has come down to something which is beyond anger, beyond rage, beyond frustration, beyond everything, because we are now standing at a point where we have one bottom line, that we need all the criminals in front of us. We want to see their faces as Aam Janta. I am an actor, but I'm not here as an actor. I am not here to be by a movement. No, I am part of the movement. And the best part of this movement that common men, common people are leading it. They are not going to leave this matter until they see the end of it. I assure you, this is not going to be another Sushant Singh Rajput, that it will go on and on and on and on and we will not see the end of it. No, this time that is not something that is going to happen, because we will see to it that all the criminals come in front of us. We need to see their faces. हमें देखना है उन लोगों को. And the punishment has to be very, very exemplary. इतना भयानक punishment होना चाहिए कि सचमुच डर जाए. जिनके मन में भी है, मन में तो है ना. In the roads, in the buses, in the trams, in metro, women do get touched in an inappropriate manner. Whoever touches women in an inappropriate manner in public places, if they get women in secluded places, they are definitely going to rape them. Because they are all potential rapists, whoever have the habit of bad touch. So we have to set an example so that we are safe. I am asking for something very little. The little word is safety. इतना तो मांग सकते हैं ना?
My home, at my workplace, not only for me but also for my family, for my friends who are out there at their workplace, at education institute. So if a doctor, a qualified doctor is not safe in a government hospital, then what is the security of that we won't get assaulted in our workplace? So we are basically panicking, and that's why we cannot stay at home, and we have joined here in this movement today. I was also there day before. So we can't keep our calm at home.
What are your comments?
Most of these protests were peaceful. You had candlelight vigils, chants and slogans, maybe a speech or two from activists, but that was it. It was about demanding justice peacefully. But in Kolkata, some goons hijacked the protests. Dozens of them gathered outside the same medical college where the murder took place. They overpowered the police, they broke through the barricades and they vandalized the college, and many of the doctors inside were attacked. Even the emergency room was completely destroyed. Take a look.
जो मॉब आया था ये फुल्ली पॉलिटिकलाइज था, जो कोई मतलब मोटिवेटेड था और ये मोटिव लेके भी आया था।
This must be backed by ruling party organization.
The protests continue in India. Doctors are holding candlelight vigils, women's groups are marching on the streets, and our politicians are doing what they do best, turning a tragedy into a public spectacle. We'll come to that in a while, but first, the latest updates for you. The protests began after the horrific incident in Kolkata last week. A 31-year-old doctor was raped and murdered, that too at her medical college. Since then, doctors have been protesting across India. They're demanding for justice and safety. 2 days ago, they striked off work. India's largest doctors' body has announced a strike. That's the IMA, or the Indian Medical Association. Now let me tell you, the IMA has got around 400,000 doctors across India. So we are witnessing a nationwide strike. All non-essential services had been halted till Sunday morning. And so far the pressure has only mounted. It is becoming more and more relentless, both from doctors and from the women's groups. They have been marching and protesting across major cities, and today again was no different. The marches and the protests have spread all across New Delhi as well. Some of these protests did not go well. I told you just about that a short while ago. The goons vandalized the college where this crime happened in Kolkata. They attacked doctors and destroyed the emergency room. The Kolkata police are hunting them down, and so far 28 people have been arrested. And what about the murder investigation? Well, the CBI is handling that now, the Central Bureau of Investigation, India's premier probe agency. And they have many leads to follow. The victim's family says her colleagues may have been involved. Some interns and doctors at the college may have been involved. I'm sure that the CBI will follow that up. In fact, they have already summoned 5 doctors for questioning, which brings us to the politics of this matter. A few days ago, West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, she organized a march in West Bengal. She herself walked at the front of it, and what did she want? Death penalty by next Sunday. Basically just a week, only 1 week to probe, prosecute and convict. Now don't get us wrong, we all want swift justice for that young woman, but let's not ignore the reality. No court can deliver such quick justice, not even the fast-track courts in India. So this is not about getting justice, this is about getting more political mileage. And the other side is doing it too. Whether it's spreading fake news about the incident or blaming people without evidence, such selfish moves don't help anyone. They only make a bad situation worse, and this is a very bad situation. Think about it. Just think about it. A young doctor was raped and murdered inside a hospital. If a doctor is not safe inside a hospital, where are they safe? If a doctor is not safe inside a hospital, then who is safe? Look at this report. Around 75% of Indian doctors have faced some sort or other of violence at work. That's about 3 out of every 4 doctors. How can we prevent this? The central government has now issued a new directive. It puts the onus on the hospital head. Now imagine that you run a government hospital in India. A doctor has been attacked on your watch. Then you must file an FIR within the next 6 hours. The responsibility is not on the doctor who was attacked. It's not on the bystanders. The responsibility lies with the hospital head. I'm sure it's a good move, because right now a lot of attacks go unreported in India. So this new directive should help, but it's not enough. You can't just focus on redressal here, you must focus on prevention too. So what exactly happened here, and who were these goons? Well, it's not clear yet. Kolkata police has released pictures of the attackers. A manhunt is on to round them up, but the BJP says the goons were TMC party men. TMC is the Trinamool Congress, the party that rules West Bengal, and the BJP, or the Bharatiya Janata Party, is the main opposition in that state. But let's keep the blame game aside for a moment. Let's focus on the bigger questions And to discuss this matter in further detail, as promised to you, joining us today at CVR English Newsroom live all the way from Delhi is Miss Samina Warsi, who has over 20 years of experience in leadership roles with international schools. At present, she is serving as principal of Junior Delhi School in Lucknow and also the academic director of Junior Delhi School, their head office being in New Delhi. Just a bit of context here for all our viewers. Ms. Samina Warsi ji, a highly proactive social activist for women's rights, she has significantly contributed in developing a safe society for women by and large. She's worked closely and consistently with both the previous mayor of Lucknow, Sanyukta Bhatia ji, and the current mayor of the city, Sushma Khadakharakwal ji, in her current role as an entrepreneur and as a principal at Delhi Junior School. The challenge of making her institution a safe working space for women employees, creating policies, supporting them, and also enforcing these policies has always been a key priority for her. She has also won the Best Principal Award Pan India in 2018 and the Best School Franchise Award in 2019. Ma'am, we welcome you. Namaskar. Ma'am, can you hear my voice? Is my voice audible, ma'am? Samina ma'am?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'm here.
Great. Samina ma'am, we welcome you to our CVR English Newsroom. Namaskar to you.
Ma'am, your voice is cracking.
CVR English के न्यूज़रूम में आपका बहुत-बहुत स्वागत है मैम.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I want to jump right into the focus of this power talk with you. Women's safety in India. हमारे देश में महिलाएं कितनी सुरक्षित, सशक्त और महफूज हैं? Keeping the Kolkata rape murder backdrop in mind, the protests are going on in India. Doctors are holding vigils, women's groups are marching on the streets. All of that is fine. But are we turning a tragedy into a mere spectacle, ma'am? Do these protests actually help address the root cause and uproot it? And if they do
Yes,
help,
ma'am. There has been this terrible tragedy
where
the woman doctor was raped and killed at her workplace, where she was feeling that she was safe. Even the parents, they were also feeling that that their girl is safe at the workplace. So it brings lots and lots of questions to the society, to the system. Something very massive, very important is lacking in our system, and that has to be taken care of. This is a very tragic incident, and for the first time I'm coming on your news channel, and I'm feeling so sorry that we are despite discussing on the development of our country. On this Independence Day, we are discussing the brutal rape which recently took place in Kolkata in this medical college. So this is really in this hospital, sorry. So this is irony of our country, and this raises so many questions for our society, for our entire system, for our political system, for our government, for our citizens, for our families, for the parents who are, when a child in our society takes birth, तो बच्चे के लिए पेरेंट्स सबसे पहले कहते हैं मैं अपने बच्चे को डॉक्टर बनाऊंगा, और आज जिन पेरेंट्स ने डॉक्टर बनाया, just see, I mean, we are all devastated with this news.
Ma'am, that brings me, if you could hold that thought, ma'am, I want to ask you, how do we actually educate and sensitize our men, or rather, we need to educate and sensitize both the men and the women, both the boys and the girls. Ma'am, you are an educator yourself. Can educational reforms help in mitigating and decreasing crime rates against our women?
Ma'am, your question is not audible. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I am thinking you are asking me something about our education.
Ma'am,
Sister?
yes, I'll repeat my question, ma'am. Can educational reforms, can educational policies, and can educating our boys and
Definitely.
girls help?
Definitely, ma'am, definitely. Since we are an educator to the society, and the NEP, National Education Policy 2024, is the following the pattern of 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 years. So, in that policy, we should keep this as a part of curriculum. Just in the way we have introduced in our preparatory years, we have introduced good touch and bad touch as a topic, and we are dealing it very nicely, and we are seeing how children are understanding about good touch and bad touch. In the same manner, we should introduce in the curriculum a very clear, bold, candid statement: no means no. This statement will give the courage to each and every individual, especially girls. And why only girls? Why not boys also?
Exactly.
The statement, the power of saying no means no. It should be very clear and candid statement. We should make the child understand, to give the courage to the society to understand the power of no. And on the other part also, we should educate our children to accept the other person's denial also. Because every time when you see the rape cases, they get more and more brutal just because the other person is not ready to understand the person is not ready to take the denial, and things get worse and worse, as you have seen with Nirbhaya, as you have seen this recent case and so many other cases. The rape cases are becoming more and more brutal because our society, the men especially, I'm not allegating men, but seeing this society, what we can see is like they are not ready to take the denial. So from the very beginning in our education policy, this should be the part of curriculum. The power of no means no, the courage to say no, at the same time to understand the other person's denial, to give the respect to the denial.
Very
so this
valid
can be done
points.
with the education
Yes.
policy.
Very valid points. I love the fact that you said that 1, we need to have the courage to say no. 2, we should be able to have the sense of respect for that no which has been given to us, that denial, that rejection. The ability to accept and handle rejection with grace on the part of men is equally important. Ma'am, I would like to move on to my third question. Is my voice audible to you, ma'am?
No, voice is not audible. Please give me a hint about what is the question.
Okay. Is my voice audible now? A little more clear?
Yes, now audible, ma'am. Now.
Okay, so I was saying you've raised some very valid points here. 1, girls need to have courage to say a no, and 2, boys need to have the grace to accept rejection peacefully and with calm. Both the girls and boys need to be educated on different fronts.
And in my career, in my 22 years of career, what I have experienced, initially the topic of good touch and bad touch was a taboo. But today, as we are dealing the topic, we can see the change. My children of 3-4 years old children are understanding good touch and bad touch. That means if we are keeping it as a part of curriculum, and we are teaching them in a friendly manner and in a sporting manner, that will definitely affect on the psychology of our growing up generation.
Absolutely, ma'am. That brings me to the next question, ma'am. Am I still audible to you? Am I audible, ma'am? All right, ma'am. Am I still connected with you? Are you able to hear my voice? Just let me have a thumbs up. Am I audible?
Little bit, ma'am.
All right, ma'am. I want to ask you, you have worked with so many schools in the past. You've been associated with many schools in the past, and now you are the principal of Junior Delhi School. Your school is particularly known for upholding and ensuring women's safety and well-being at work. What can other organizations in India do, ma'am, to create an environment where women can feel safe working alongside their male colleagues?
I'm sorry.
I'll repeat my question.
I didn't get you.
Is my voice audible now?
Yeah.
Okay, my question to you is, your school particularly is known for upholding women's safety. What can other organizations in India do to ensure women's safety at work?
Definitely, definitely. This is a very important question, and this is raised every now and then. But then too, women are exploited at their workplaces. And here I would always mention, not only women, it is happening with men also. So they are all sexually abused, sexually exploited at their workplaces, and definitely we should have just like we have helpline numbers for the police, helpline numbers. So sexual assault numbers should be there, I think, for that, because that should be, and that should not disclose the identity of the person who is making the complaint, and something nice should be, made in a way that women can work and they feel safe at their workplaces. Because if you talk about schools, so more often ladies go to schools, because they find principals, most of the time principals are female, and they feel very safe in that environment. But that should be followed everywhere. That safety should be ensured in each and every organization where women are working. That should be safe.
Ma'am, that brings me to the last question of this power talk. Am I still audible? I hope I'm audible.
This time you are audible, ma'am.
Lovely. That brings me to the next question, ma'am. We have so many women in our country who are working across several industries, but they're working the late night shifts, the so-called B shifts. Now, these women travel late at night to work. Sometimes their offices are even far away from their homes, and they come back in the morning, back home. What can we do to ensure a further layer of safety and security for these women who are working late night shifts in India?
Definitely, ma'am. Supervisors should be the post of supervisor should have this duty also to ensure that each and every employee who is leaving late night that person has reached home safely or not, and the duty of the supervisor should sign out only when each and every person reaches home safely. This should be the special clause added in the duties, in the KRAs of supervisors. Just in the manner we are, we being principals, we are responsible till the time each and every child reaches home.
Absolutely.
In the same way, it's my suggestion, this point should be added to the KRA of the supervisors, that their duty is not signed out unless and until each and every employee reaches home safely and sends the message. It's a suggestion. I think that can be taken care of. It's a very small thing, so that any mishap happens, so immediately the other person gets aware that something is going wrong.
Which is essentially a very great suggestion.
We can take the support of technology when the locations and GPS system. So all this technically, because I'm not a right person, I'm not an expert, this is just a suggestion which can be taken care of and can be implemented by the technical team more efficiently.
But nevertheless,
am I right?
Yes.
Madam?
Nevertheless, a very valuable suggestion. I feel that for any company or any organization, when we look at the management, if we talk about the top management, then making sure that women are safe and secure, it has to be the role and the responsibility of the top management, and a top-down approach needs to be applied in terms of policy making and policy enforcement to make sure that each and every woman reaches the office as well as reaches home safely. Only then the duties for the day of that particular managerial department should get over. So a very valuable suggestion made by you, ma'am. This can definitely be employed in a top-down approach for any organization.
Adding to that, ma'am, I would like to say whenever in the meetings and policy making, we are focusing on targets, on strategies, on better sales. But this point is also equally important and should be added and raised in the meetings, and proper care should be taken care.
Ma'am, which brings me to the last question of this power talk with you, a rather sad, paradoxical question. Why Indian ancient culture has become so diluted, ma'am? We were once a culture where women were considered as divine for centuries. Now we see such devaluation, degradation and dilution happening in this culture. India was known for worshipping goddesses, worshipping women. Where did all of that go away? It just vanished. Why did we become so diluted in our culture, ma'am? Your thoughts on this matter?
See, for any action or reaction, there are so many reasons behind. I think one of them is like, nuclear family. We are, going away from our culture, our values, just because grandparents are not there with us in our family. Family is very much comfortable and convenient in the nuclear system, and we are moving towards westernization. So everybody, being a parent or being grandchildren, everybody is comfortable in nuclear families. So the values which were embedded by the grandparents, because parents were always this generation, parent generation is always very busy with the course curriculum and their jobs and everything. And if you remember our childhood, our grandparents and other members of the families, they always they were the main source of personality building and giving us the right direction, and with beautiful stories and nice stories. Now in nuclear families, those values are missing. I think this might be one of the reasons, because in the joint family culture, most of the times children are surrounded with brothers, sisters, uncles, aunties. So they have that culture of respecting women, respecting the other person, respecting the family. So since now they are coming to nuclear families, they are all the time on the mobiles and all the screen time and very secluded and no cultural values. So this could be the reason, one of the reason, I think. I mean, this is just my opinion, completely mine, but that could be one of the reason, I think, because these values are missing, because India is known for the family culture, and that family culture is missing nowadays.
Ma'am, thank you so much for raising such key, valuable, relevant knowledge points, and thank you so much for sharing your experience and insights with us, especially on this very pertinent, burning issue which is really troubling the entire nation across the length and the breadth. Why are crimes rising so rampantly against women in India? Thank you so much for joining us in our CVR English newsroom live today, all the way from Delhi, and sharing your insights with us. Ladies and gentlemen,
my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me, ma'am.
Thank you so much. We are indeed honored to have you on our show. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Ms. Samina Warsi sharing her valuable experience and insights on how to ensure women's safety at work with us. However, our main focus tonight remains the same. How can we stop these attacks on women in the first place? The doctors already have an idea. They've been demanding a Central Protection Act. It was first drafted in 2019. It mandates strict punishment for assaulting doctors up to 10 years in jail, plus up to 10 lakh rupees fine. The idea was to deter attackers with strict punishment, but the government did not pursue it. They said a separate law for doctors was unnecessary. But now that bill is back in focus. The IMA is pushing for it again. They say that a hospital should be as safe as an airport, and we must agree. One law alone may not solve the entire problem, but at least it's a start. We can't just protest, politicize and procrastinate. we must be proactive. Safety at the workplace for women must be a non-negotiable. That's all for this episode of the Power Talk with me, Anukriti Sharma. I shall see all of you once again at 7 p.m. tomorrow with another episode of the Power Talk. Till then, Jai Hind, Namaskar. Keep watching CVR English.
This is Dr. Shantanu.